It's just a man. What the bird is barbecuing.
G'day jabronis, it is the Verd back with you again. Welcome here to our week 6 match of the National Pokeball League. Tampa Frogadiers are currently 3-2 with a +2 differential. +2 differential? Or +1 differential? I think it's +1 differential now because Jolt docked us. Thanks Jolt, really appreciate that last week. That was fun. Anyway, we are back here again with our week 6 match against Asta J and the Montreal Habsols. Hope you guys enjoyed, by the way. I did it this time around. The whole Verd's first thoughts kind of team building thing. I thought it was really enjoyable. I thoroughly enjoyed doing it. If you guys did enjoy it, then you gotta let me know. Keep that support going. I thought it was a really fun thing to do, potentially for the future, but regardless, we're going to go in here with our game against Asta. You guys should have seen the team builder that I put up a little bit yesterday for now, but regardless, he brings a lot of stuff that I expected and a few things maybe I wasn't expecting. I didn't really see the Alolan Tails coming. If I did see it coming, it would be like maybe a Scarf set, because obviously that could counter DD Zygarde. I was really surprised by no Slowbro. I guess like the two big things was I expected maybe Slowbro over Lardy. And yeah, I don't know, it was a really interesting team, to say the least, but I thought my matchup was pretty good. I knew my basic game plan and how I would be able to win, so I just wanted to kind of I was a bit nervous because, like, as you guys know, I did the team but it's for the battle, so I was a little bit nervous going into it because this is Asta's first game in the NPL, so I wanted it to be really good for him because, you know, everyone's been really welcoming of me coming into the NPL, so I wanted him to feel the same way in his experience, and yeah, without further ado, like, I'm just words are hard. I'm going to jump into this game. I'm going to lead with Empoleon because it is my standard lead against him. He leads Morwile and actually goes to the Intimidate, so Defiant straight away. Big boy Triple H going for that waterfall does nothing. I was there like, how? I'm a jolly max attack Pelipper, and that bounced off his Morwile. And I'm like, okay, you're like max physical defense, kind of designed to deal with Kartana and Bulu and that. And I'm like, what is this? Like, I've never seen Mega Morwile used like this before. And I was tempted to just go for another Waterfall because I was looking at his team and I was like, I mean, it could break down the team a bit better doing that. But I decided to go to Arcanine since it can handle the Morwile a bit better in the situation. He goes to Rocks and I'm like, okay, alright. I drop a Toxic because it's very obvious he's going to switch, and he goes into Torn. Kind of want to scout this set, but I am going to go hard out to Empoleon again, just to see what he wants to do. He goes for Hurricane, and I'm pretty confident this is a basic important turn for a couple of reasons in the game. First and foremost, this turn will let me see if he is a Scarfed Tornadus or not, because theoretically if I'm at 4%, you should click like any other move that you have, be it Knockoff, U-Turn, any of that stuff. If I see one of those and I know he's not Scarfed, and that's good, that means my Bulu is going to outspeed and will be fine. Well, not fine, like, this is my main taunt check, as you can see from my team. But at the same time, I figured he wouldn't be Scarfed because of things like Nihilego being around. Like, it didn't seem likely, so it didn't seem like it would be too big of a deal. And if he was Scarfed and killed Empoleon, then I would just have to, you know, make some crazy plays around that and try and make it work. But yeah, I get a bit lucky here in the fact that he misses the Hurricane. Now, in hindsight, I should have gone for Waterfall here for damage, but I make probably an equally good play of Rocks. I expected to die there, and I don't. Those Rocks are going to end up being pretty important, so this is very unfortunate for Asta. I did apologize afterwards for this, because this matters a lot, because if Empoleon's dead and Rocks aren't up, you will see this game does take a few very different complexions. I don't know if it was the deciding factor. If you watch the rest of the battle, you'll see, but it was very frustrating for him, I'm sure, as he actually decides to go hard out to P2 here. Tracing my Defiant, as I do just go for a knockoff. Now the reason for knock was because he'd gone for Hurricane and just missed, so if he went for it again, there was the chance again that he would miss, and it also caught anything barring Morwile coming in, being able to get rid of their items, which is really important. And P2 comes in, I knock off the Eviolite. Okay, so these next few turns, I'm not going to narrate them, it's just stupid. I get very lucky against this P2 as well. Now, I don't think it mattered as much with the P2 because I feel that, you know, I had my Zygarde set and Kartana and other things that could break it down. But I do definitely, I will admit, get lucky here. So I go for Waterfall against P2, it does a good amount. I get no flinch, here goes to Recover. I actually go for a Waterfall here again, trying to get the flinch. And I do get it. The reason being is because I predict him now to want to go for Recover, so I SD. as he does. And then I can know that my Waterfall now 2 KOs, and I get lucky again and he flinches again, and I'm like, this is AIDS. So Empoleon on his debut flinches again. Not that I needed to, that was just dumb. But yeah, P2 dies, and then he just goes into all the Ninetales. I figured he was just going to go for Aurora Veil, so I just drop a Waterfall on him, get off a shit ton of damage as I die to the Hail. And he is lefties, not Light Clay, so I can go onto my B and basically go for U-turn, as I threaten him with the potential to kill him with Poison Jab, so I can just U-turn out, get a bit of damage on Morwile, and go out to my Arcanine here, which obviously pressures it a lot. He doesn't have a lot of switch-ins for Arcanine in general on his team. I actually choose to Snarl this turn. Now this may seem like a bit of a weird play. I figured in this situation, looking at my team, especially Bulu in general, that preserving Morwile was really important for him. And his only real plays that I've seen switching into Arcanine were Latios and Tornadus. Tornadus because if it's like potentially the Scarf set can take a hit after rocks and do some shenanigans because it's got Regenerator, and Latios obviously if I am a physically offensive Arcanine can take me on. So I figured Snarl was the better play because in this situation, if I click Flamethrower under Aurora Veil, yes, Morwile lives, but I don't know if it was really worth the risk for him there, because like even under Aurora Veil, like Arcanine's Flamethrower will 2-KO him. So I just felt like it was smarter for him to switch out, so that's why I went for the Snarl, but he does stay in and go for Knock, and I'm like, great, I lose my Charty Berry. So that's okay. I choose this turn to go for the Morning Sun to kind of scout what he wants to do, and he reveals Rest. So I can understand now why he kind of stayed in, but at the same time, I feel that if I'd gone for the Flamethrower, I would have been able to 2-KO him, and he wouldn't have been able to rest up on me. So I don't know. I mean, at the end of the day, it worked for him, so like I'm not going to question it. But at the same time, like with my thought process, I was like, don't really see that being the optimal play. But you know what? It worked out for him, so I can't even complain. He falls asleep, and I'm like, God damn, what am I going to do with this? This stupid thing's back and forth. He goes out to dig his beast, so I just drop a Morning Sun again. The reason I'm doing this is I want to get back up to as much health as possible to deal with this Morwile. I go out to Bulu because I assume he's going to go for EQ, but he could also go for U-turn. He does drop the EQ, does absolutely nothing to me. I can get my Grassy Terrain recovery back. His switch into this is obviously Morwile, so I predict that. Since it's back up to health, and I go out to my Zygarde. Now, if I was a DD Zygarde at this point, this game would like almost be wrapped up. Because Zygarde would outspeed Diggersby with the set that I have. I could just DD up after rocks, potentially like with a... because Torn's taken some damage already, I believe. Trying to hover over Torn, but it's not showing it, it's fine. Torn's already taken a bit of damage, and then he's going in on rocks, so potentially there is a chance there to be able to knock it out. Or if Torn doesn't have the Icy Wind, it can't even knock me out with the set that I was, so... I literally, at this point of the game, could have almost just swept with Zygarde if I'd gone for a DD because he was asleep. But I decided to make the play of 1000 Waves instead. Reason for that is because I could have gone for like Camouflage setup, all that jazz here. But I realized that it's his best interest to not only preserve Morwile, but to get the terrain back up. And also, it just made a lot more sense to get the Hail up with Ninetales. So I do choose to just go for Waves here to prevent Ninetales from coming in for free, plus it would also chip the Morwile. So Alolan Tails does come in, so I'm really glad I made that play, and I'm able to knock it out with 1000 Waves. So Alolan Tails goes down, and he goes out to Tornadus. Now, okay, we gotta talk about this turn, because this is dumb from me. Alright, so the problem with the way that Showdown is done, guys, and this was on me, because I wasn't really looking, it was my fault for not really seeing it in the big picture. But because the Hail is showing up mainly, I completely forgot the Grassy Terrain was up. And that's going to be really unfortunate for me, because my play, if I knew Grassy Terrain was up here, was to go for Substitute. Because I can take the Hurricane from Tornadus, get up a sub, and I can wear it down a bit with Poison. Because the truth of the matter is, my Zygarde set can't really touch Tornadus. My set being, what was it, Sub, Toxic, Camouflage, 1000 Waves. That doesn't touch a Tornadus, so my basic plan should have been to sub, but the reason I wanted to go for Camouflage was I thought, well, in this situation, he's only seen 1000 Waves, he doesn't know what my moveset is, so he could actually assume that I am still a DD Zygarde. Because of that, I think his play should be to go for Icy Wind, because that way, Icy Wind prevents me from being able to DD up and then outspeed him on the next turn, and it's the strongest move to hit me with. It made a lot of sense, like when you looked at my team as well, just there was no reason for me to switch out, and I just felt that it was that was going to be his place. That's why I went for Camouflage. But obviously, like I said, I forgot that it's grassy terrain, so I became a grass type. Whoops. So that was highly unfortunate because now I'm going to die to Hurricane. So yeah, unfortunate, really silly play on my part. The only plus here is that Tornadus is getting kind of weakened here. As he's going to switch out to Diggersby, I'm going to go for Flamethrower. Really risky play, Diggersby, because I could have burned it. Don't know why I didn't go Lardy, but each to their own. I'm going to make the play again to Bulu, even though I know that he should probably go for like Return or something else. But he goes for EQ again, that's great. And in this situation, I know that he can just go into Mawile. I'm going to go for a Horn Leech on the off chance he stays in, predicting the double this time. Plus, I get a bit of health back on Mawile, which isn't too bad. I can deal with that. My play here is 100% just to go back into Arcanine and get off a Morning Sun. Makes complete sense to me in this situation, as he is asleep. He wastes his sleep turn. I'm just going to drop. I could have gone for Flamethrower here, but I figured like I don't think I go for Flame. I believe I go for Morning Sun. Yeah, because at this stage it was just by far my best play. I could just go for the Flamethrower afterwards. In hindsight, I could have gone for Flamethrower there, and as you would have seen, I probably would have knocked out Diggersby. But at the same time, okay, this was the turn. They divided a lot of people. But at the time, yeah, I could have gone for Flamethrower. I wanted to preserve my Arcanine as healthy as possible, though, because from the looks of the Mawile set, I would be able to 1v1 it. All I'd seen was Rest, Knock Off, and Stealth Rock, meaning if his last move was like Play Off or something, or Iron Head, like one of his stabs, I could take him on just fine with Arcanine. So preserving it was massive. That's what he thought on this turn too, but then I realized something. As you guys know, I have a sub-Salic Berry Kartana. Now, grassy terrain isn't up anymore, which means that he's kind of anticipate Bulu to come back in. The reason being is because both times that Diggersby has come in against Arcanine, I have gone straight out to Bulu to set up my grassy terrain. Now, grassy terrain was already up, hence why I stayed in with Arcanine, but on this turn, I actually anticipate him to expect me to go into Bulu. So, because of that, I'm going to predict him to want to go out to his Tornadus, and there's twofold reasons why. First and foremost, if I do this play, I fire off a Flamethrower and I keep Tornadus low. I don't allow him the free opportunity to get his health back up. Arcanine also, with the bulk that it has a chance to live the Hurricane. So those things are really important. Secondly, if he stays in with Diggersby, which I know is Scarfed, by the way, because when I doubled out my Bulu against the Diggersby and he doubled out at the same time, well, no, sorry, when I doubled out from Bulu predicting Mawile into Zygarde, I'm a Scarf Bulu, so I knew that Diggersby outsped because he went out first. So, learned my lesson from the last game against Jolt with that one. But because of this, if Diggersby killed me with Earthquake, I could then go into Kartana. Now, if Diggersby Earthquaked again, he would actually put me at about, I'd say 40% or so, allowing Kartana to go for Substitute, which would pop my Salic Berry. Not only would it do that, it would pop my Salic Berry while I'm behind the sub, meaning I would outspeed Diggersby on the next turn, kill it, get my Beast Boost. If he goes into Mawile, he's asleep for one more turn. So I can go for an SD, get to +3, Smart Strike should be able to knock out Mawile from there, judging on damage we'll see a little bit later on in that situation. And then I outspeed Latios and kill it. Even if Tornadus is Scarfed, he has to waste a move to break my sub, and I Smart Strike and I knock him out. So basically, if he had stayed in with Diggersby there and gone for Earthquake and then stayed in again against Kartana, would have been game. I feel 100% would have been game at that point, unless Mawile somehow lives a +3 Adamant Kartana Smart Strike, then I think we basically had the game there. You'll see later on from the damage, if you can judge for yourself if a +3 Kartana Smart Strike would have knocked down Mawile, but regardless, he ends up making the first play I mentioned of going out to Torn, and that's awesome for me. I knock him down a bit with that Flamethrower, and that is so good. This basically gives him now a very big ultimatum. I choose this turn to go for Snarl, I believe, because Snarl will not only kill the Torn if he chooses to stay in, it will kill Diggersby, he doesn't go into Mawile, and it will catch Latios. And if I Snarl the Latios, then that means that, words are hard sometimes. That means he can't kill me and I can just go for a Morning Sun afterwards. So that's huge in this game. So it was in my best interest to stay in and Snarl. He does hit the Hurricane and knock me out though, so that's highly unfortunate. But now Torn is dead, and that gives me a huge chance in this game. Huge freaking chance. And I end up making the right read as well. I go into Beedrill as he goes into Latios, and I'm like, yes! That was such a tricky turn too, because look at the 3 Pokemon we both had. The reason I went B was because I knew Mawile was asleep for one more turn. And since Mawile was asleep for one more turn, it would mean that I could go for a Drill Run quite safely against him. and it would kill Diggersby too. If you went into Latios, I could just U-turn around that. And if you went into Diggersby, then I would have to probably just go hard into my Kartana in that situation to kind of play around that. Or I would just sack my Beedrill and then, like I said, do my Kartana play. So I had outs to it, but B was by far my best choice out of that bunch. And it pays off really nicely because he does go into Kartana. And I could basically just freely U-turn here. He actually chooses to sack his Diggersby, which is really interesting. Don't know if I would agree with that play, but he does choose to go for it. As I go out to my Bulu here. The reason I wanted to go Bulu was because I figured he would want to go into his Mawile on this turn, but I know he's asleep for one more turn. And so I go hard out to Kartana because of this. So he wastes his last sleep turn on here, and you're going to see, I actually choose this turn to go for Leaf Blade. Now the reason being was because Leaf Blade and Smart Strike in grassy terrain did about the same amount of damage. Now that Leaf Blade to the Mawile that was at 80% did 38%. So I'm just saying, if Smart Strike's doing about the same damage, and I'm at +3, I think, regardless of the EQ with Diggersby, I think I had it covered with Kartana. All this really did was prevent Kartana from... it basically prevented Kartana from sweeping. I didn't get any kills with Kartana this game because he does reveal his last moves Fire Fang. So really interesting Mawile set this matchup. It was Rest, Stealth Rock, Knockoff, Fire Fang. A really, really interesting and cool set from Asta in this matchup. Really, that's kudos there. But at this point, because I don't believe the Latios is scarfed, I believe I have the game on lock because I have an Adamant Beedrill. I am able to hit the Drill Run, knock out the Mega Mawile, and that means that his Latios as well I outspeed even when Adamant, and I fire off that U-turn, and we pick up the win. Your Tampa Bay Frogadiers now go to 4-2 with a +3 differential, which is really big. Now, I'm not going to beat around the bush, guys. One of the big factors of that game was that those Stealth Rocks got up, because that meant that when the Taunt... Well, actually, it's not too big, because like when the Taunt came in against Zygarde, it basically got all of its health back. It was just more limiting the Taunt against other Mons, like in certain situations where it would have been healthier. I think definitely that mattered. But at the same time, I think, you know, if Asta had played aggressively like I expected him to, and had gone for the EQ with Diggersby, he would have basically had GG there as well. I would have won at that point. So, I know he, in his video, I believe, is going to kind of complain about that, being like, I don't really understand why he sacked Arcanine. That's the reason why, because I had game with Kartana in the back in that situation. And like I said, even if he went hard Mawile in that situation against Kartana, I sub, you have to waste a sleep turn, I get up my SD, and then I fire off the +2 Smart Strike, which, judging on the damage from the Leaf Blade, Smart Strike does about the same. There's the potential chance that it could have knocked out Mawile from there, and that could have been really big in the game. Plus the fact that when Kartana came in against Mawile in that situation, I believe, it had got some grassy terrain boost back, and because of that, I think it would have been definitely in +2 Smart Strike range, and if it had knocked out the Mawile, then basically Torn would have had to have spammed moves. I could have spammed sub at that point with my Beast Boost intact and been able to set up and win, I think, at that point. So yeah, a really close game though with Asta. Go check him out, guys. Really good guy. Really glad he's part of the NPL family now. He definitely deserves it after his work in minors, but we do pick up the W. Like I said, we now go to 4-2. A lot of teams are at 4-2 right now. It's very, very close. This is a really close week. There was no game with a bigger win than 2-0, so I had one of the biggest wins of the week, which is crazy. But next week is a really tough one for us. We have Aberforth and the Newcastle Umbreon, a very, very close friend of mine. It's going to be a very tough game. It's very pivotal for both of us. We're both at 4-2, but I have a much better differential. And we're both in different conferences, so another big game. But at this point, with 4 games to go, it's looking like 6 wins will get you into playoffs at this point, because Rob Jr. is now a little bit away from the top 4 pack of myself, Gypsy, Cheese, and Jolt. He would need 3 wins in his last 4 games against some very good opponents to be able to qualify for playoffs. So my aim right now with my last 4 matches against Abe, Cheese, Shardy, and Gypsy is to pick up at least 2 wins against those guys, because I feel 2 wins should be enough to secure my spot in playoffs, and if I could do that, awesome. I think also just 2 wins will secure my survival in this league. I think also just maybe just one more win will secure survival. I want to get to playoffs. I feel that, you know, in the game against Joel I had a really good chance and I missed out there. And in the game against Razor too, I had a really good chance and just missed out. So I don't want to keep losing those really close games that I could have been winning. And against Abe, it's just really important. If I can get the win, it gives me massive momentum heading into the last 3 weeks. So I'm going to try my best to do that. Hope you guys did enjoy this video. If you did like it, subscribe if you're new around here. And don't forget to comment down below about how you felt the battle went. I will admit, I got lucky. Alright, I'm not going to try and be one of those people that's like, I didn't think it mattered that much. It mattered a lot. That Hurricane miss mattered a ton in this game. So I did get very fortunate. Then again, as you guys know from me this season, I have gotten unfortunate in some battles. So I guess it all just comes around. There's a lot of hacks in this league. It's pretty stupid, but that's going to do it for me. Like I said, next week, Newcastle Umbreons should be an amazing game. Anyway, guys, my name's Averd. I'm out this bit.